All right, so we are live. Welcome to the Qierre and Wesley Show, episode 15. Yes, I said it 15, right? It's crazy. 15 episodes. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. I'm your host, Qierre McGlory, realtor and author of the Blueprint to Successfully Selling Your Home, along with my co-host, my business partner, my lender, Mr. Money Man himself, and Axia Home Loans Sales Manager, Wesley Oliver. How are you doing today, sir?
Excellent. How are you?
I'm doing well. And today,
nice to meet you.
and today we have a very, very special guest with us today. I've actually had the honor and the privilege of knowing her since junior high. She actually's known me since I had hair.
Yeah.
So that was like a long time ago when I actually had hair. So, she's actually known me for a very long time. She's my financial planner, and her name is Melissa Plovie-Prado.
Hi, guys.
Yes.
Nice to be here. Thank you for having me.
Of course. And she's going to share some great information. Now, I don't know about you guys. I don't like paying taxes. I do not want to be paying taxes when I retire. And I want that money to be mine and my family's. And today, Melissa's actually going to explain how you can generate a tax-free retirement. So now I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, and we are going to start.
Well, hi, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm super excited to be here today with you guys to share a lot of valuable information. Like Qierre mentioned, my name is Melissa Prado, and I am a financial planner. What I like to do is I like to specialize in retirement, but not so much, not just only in retirement, but I can help everybody from all walks of life. It doesn't matter your age, the market, what you do for a living. But what I like to do is I like to create a solution that is going to properly give you that vehicle to financially retire very comfortable, right? So it doesn't matter what happens out in the economy and the market. We want to make sure that we protect all of your money. I think it's completely fair that if you're going to work for maybe more than half of your time, that you have some of that money to use when you retire. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I don't like to pay taxes as an entrepreneur either, especially during the season. So imagine this season starting at 65 for the rest of your life. How would you like that? I don't think anybody would like that. So what I like to do is I like to, like I said earlier, create a good strategy for you, custom tailor a plan that's going to work for you and for your loved ones as well, and many generations coming after you.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. So any questions you'd like to start off with here?
Oh, sure. So, I mean, when it comes to financial planning, like where do you start?
Very good question. Thank you for asking that. So financial planning is always something that we have to do, right? It doesn't matter the age. Like I mentioned earlier, it's super important that you sit down with somebody that knows how to properly protect your money and plan it accordingly to your needs, your future needs. What I like to do is I like to sit down one-on-one with my clients and see where they're at now, what their goal is later on, and see how we can do or what we can do to get you there. It's super important to start off. The sooner you are, the younger you are to start off. Of course, you don't want to wait too long to get started on something like that. Good question. Wesley, any questions you have for me?
Yeah, so I would say, like, what's the most important question that you would ask someone that you're helping to plan for retirement?
The most important question that I get asked or that I ask them is, when can I start? So let me give you a scenario. This is what I tell my clients. Okay, look at your financial situation now, right? How comfortable are you with your financial situation? Most people actually say they're not so comfortable. Okay, well, what about next year? How comfortable are you going to be if you're still in that same situation? Right? Mm-hmm. But most importantly, how comfortable or how happy are you going to be when you're 64 and you're only 1 year away from retirement and you're still in the same situation? So let's make sure that every time I sit down with you every year, that your situation gets a lot better. Let's strategize it. Let's work with some of the money you have, and let's put it aside. what most people don't know. Actually, I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but we are in a country of spenders. We're consumers. Not a lot of
I totally agree with you on that. I think people would spend their last dollar to purchase the new J's than to worry about actually putting that money away to actually save it.
Right, that's correct. So what I tell a lot of my clients, all of them, is I say first things first. When you do get paid or you have a source of income, what you need to do is so you can protect yourself, you need to pay taxes, right, in your income. Secondly, you should pay yourself. If you're gonna give certain amount of money to Uncle Sam, I think it's fair that the second person that gets paid is yourself. Now, what a lot of people do, middle class America, what they do is they get their money, they get their income, they spend, they pay bills, and then whatever's left over, they get to save. And it should actually be the other way around. You want to save first and then spend, whatever, or invest whatever you have left. So about 30% of your income should be going somewhere, which is 10%, which is 10% Uncle Sam, or maybe a little bit more, 10% for your savings, 10% for investment, and then the rest is for you to play with. Good question.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what about those people? Do you ever get people that say, well, listen, what about Social Security?
Okay.
Shouldn't Social Security shouldn't I just wait for that? Shouldn't that be my retirement?
Oh, good. That's a very good question. And a Social Security is a good backup plan. Social Security is only a backup plan for your source of income when you get to retire. But I don't know if you guys know this, baby boomers that are about to retire, baby boomers are any individual that was born between 1946 to 1964, they are currently collecting Social Security, right?
Right.
And as you guys know, generations are changing. So we are actually paying for those baby boomers that are collecting Social Security. But after us, Generation X or millennials or the following generations, do you think they're going to be paying for us in Social Security? Times are changing, guys, and most likely that's not going to happen. The average, I actually had the statistics, the average person, I believe, collects about anywhere between $1,200 to $1,600 in Social Security now.
Oh, wow.
And I would advise you to look at the Social Security webpage, because they actually do notice to the public that Social Security is going to be depleting in 2034, which is in about 18, 19, 20 years, something like that. So Social Security is great to have if you're retiring now, but I wouldn't count on it. Plus, what you are collecting now for Social Security is only about, the max, I believe, it's $2,200. $2,200 to live in Southern California for retirement isn't going to be enough.
Oh, for sure.
Right? Do you think you could retire off of $2,200?
Not at all.
No.
Not with my lifestyle.
No, exactly.
Come on. I'm going to be traveling the world, and going on my yacht. Come on. $2,200 is totally not going to be my lifestyle.
No, I don't think so either. I think Qierre spends a lot more money on dinner a month in their retirement.
Wow. Putting my business out there. That's cool.
I see where you go here. Yeah. So, guys, I'd like to share with you that 9%. There's about out of 320 million Americans here, 9 out of 10 have never sat down with a financial planner. Never sat down with one. And what I focus on is middle class America, the families that have been left behind by the big companies. Like, if you don't have 5 or 10,000 to work with, it's okay. Come and see me. I can help you with whatever you do have to work with. Whatever little money you have or big money, or certain percentage from your income, we can set aside and create a good strategy for you. So what I like to focus here is on middle class America that has been left behind. And any other questions you have for me?
Oh, for sure. So when should someone start investing? Like, should they been at a job for like 10 years or something, or should they make a certain amount of income to actually start saving money?
So the best time to start saving is now. Now, if you haven't been saving, then you got to start now, because I'm sure that if you're not saving, you're spending, right? So it's super important to start saving. For example, in my situation, my daughter, I have 3 children. Each one of my daughters has their own retirement account. And maybe I don't take my daughters out to the movies. Maybe I don't take them out to Disney, or, I spend that type of money on them, but they have a good nest egg. And I'm very proud of that, because they have a better retirement than some 45-year-olds. So it's super important to start now. The longer you wait, the more you're going to have to save. There's something called the high cost of waiting. So for example, if you don't start saving this year, next year as you age, you're going to have to increase it by 10%. So if an average person, well, let's just say that you have 40 years away from retirement, right? You want to accumulate about $1 million with a tax-deferred plan of 8%, then you are looking at an average of about $280 per month that you have to save. That's if you're 40 years away from retirement. Okay. But what if you're only 10 years away from retirement? Then what's going to happen, you're going to have to increase that amount, and not a lot of people have that type of money to be saving for retirement. So what I do is I create a strategy that is going to offer them compound interest. I don't know if you guys know what compound interest is, but there's a big difference between simple or fixed interest and compound interest. The one that knows about compound interest earns it, and the one that doesn't pays for it. So make sure you find out what compound interest is. Let's help you get that strategy for yourself. And then we'll put your money in a compound interest solution where you have all that catch up to do. It'll help you get there. It'll help you create that vehicle where you can retire comfortably. And then the money that you start collecting for retirement from your own private solution, then it's tax free. So good question, Qierre.
Yeah, nice. Perfect. Okay. So when you sit down with a person, and you go over their situation, do you I guess obviously certain people have 401ks, right?
Right.
Would you say okay, if you have a 401k, that's great. You shouldn't really go over that, or is there other programs that you offer?
Right. So a lot of people, usually what they have, there's something called a three-legged stool for retirement. A lot of people, or a lot of my clients come with me about to look at their 401k. Middle-class America, if you work in the corporate world, you most likely have a 401k. Pensions are a thing of the past. Before it was 9 out of 10 companies offered a pension. Now it's only about 1 out of companies offering pension. If you're a government employee, you most likely have one. So a 401k is a great vehicle for retirement, and so is a pension. You just have to keep in mind that there's going to be taxes. Those solutions are not tax-free. You don't pay the taxes up front. So maybe you're thinking okay, great. I'll just save as much as I can in my 401k now so I don't pay taxes. But if you don't pay the taxes now, when do you think you're going to pay the taxes? You're going to pay them when it's time for retirement, when you hit that age. Now, taxes right now are anywhere between 30 to 40%. But when you retire, do you think taxes are going to be higher or lower?
Most likely they're going to be higher.
They're going to be higher. So just keep in mind that whatever you do put in your 401k, most likely you're not going to get back all the time. You got to consider, the fees, the penalties that the company charges, and the taxes that are included too. And that goes the same for pensions. Pensions are great. When I used to work for the city of Santa Ana, I had a pension and it was great. But when I left, I had to pay taxes. I actually paid 30% in taxes, and I was only about 27 at that age.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot. Luckily, I was young enough to start over and start my own different retirement solution. Now, keep in mind that pensions are not always guaranteed because the government runs off of the taxes, the payers' taxes. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with this or actually heard that Puerto Rico declared bankruptcy last year. And Puerto Rico had $47 million in pensions.
Oh, wow.
So just think about that person that was 62 years old that had been working for the government for 30 years and was waiting to collect a pension, and they go bankrupt. What happens for the next 3 years? Retirement gets pushed out. You can't retire at that age anymore, and that's why a lot of people have to go and work part-time after retirement because they don't have the right solution. Good question, Qierre.
Yeah. So regarding the 401ks, is there absolutely no risk when it comes to a 401k? Is that pretty safe there?
Okay, so 401ks, like I mentioned, they're great. They're great tools, but they do have a lot of risk. You can speak to the individual that helps you out with your 401k. I really recommend that your HR employer, the person that's handling your account, but not just in HR, but the actual company, the big company that's handling your account. There's an agent that runs your account. Find out, have that communication with them, ask them, you should be knowing where your money is being diversified, and if it's if it's moderate or if it's an aggressive risk. the older you get, less risky you want to gamble with your money. So me personally, describing a 401k, which are great, and I recommend them. It just depends on the lifestyle and what your goal is, for retirement. But me personally, it's more like taking your money to Vegas and gambling. You're only going to take what you're willing to risk and to lose. You can make a lot, but you can also lose some of it too.
Right.
And by the way, guys, the average 401k rate of return is 6%. So if you guys notice that your employer, if they match you, great. But most likely they're not going to match you more than 6% because that's the average rate of return, like I mentioned. So if you do get matched, I would recommend that you only contribute what you're going to get matched with. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend that you contribute more than what your company is matching.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, some people like to say, well, it's going to be, it's free money anyway, so I'll just contribute, that amount. But just keep in mind that free money, you are going to pay taxes on that free money, not your employer. Good question, Qierre.
Yeah, and obviously, depending on the age of when you retire,
right,
your taxes can be higher.
Can be higher.
Yeah.
Yes,
now, with the 401ks, is it actually like a financial planner that actually sets these up and actually meets with individuals and sits down with them and says, okay, this is your 401k plan. What is your goal? Like, do they all do that? Or is it kind of like, you have like some categories. It's like, okay, moderate, conservative, aggressive, and you just kind of make the choice.
Right, good question. That's actually really good to ask. So just so you guys know, when you work in corporate America and you get set up for a 401k, there's going to be two ways that you get your 401k. One is either the company says, do you want it, yes or no? And then secondly, they're going to say, you have a 401k and that's it. Sometimes there is no way around it and you kind of just get it. Now, there's nothing wrong with them. I understand that some individuals just trust their company, so they say, okay, they're giving me a 401k, I'll take it. That's great, but just keep in mind that the person that's enrolling you into the 401k is an HR employee. An HR employee is somebody that just takes care of human resources. They don't have financial backgrounds.
Oh, wow.
They don't have financial plannings. Who is running your 401k is most likely an agent from a different company. So that's why it's super important to sit down with them, get to know them, and have them explain to you how the 401k works. Even if you have to bug them, email them, call them, go ahead and do that. It's your money. Super important to know what's going on with your money. I have clients that come to me, I look at their statements, and they don't even know that every quarter they're losing a couple hundreds or even sometimes thousands. And they ask their HR worker and they don't know how to explain it as well either. So I really recommend that they sit down with the larger companies that are handling their money. Look at your statement. You get it. I'm sure you get it quarterly every couple 3 months. I recommend you look at it, and if you have any questions, we can sit down with you and we can review it together. Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other questions, Wesley?
Yeah. So how do I know, or how does someone determine exactly how much they should be trying to have available to them by the time they retire?
Oh, good question. Very great question. So just so you guys know, people that are retiring now, from here until the next 5 years, if you live in Southern California, which is a very expensive place to live, they are going to need close to $2 million for retirement. For retirement. So think about this. What is your annual household income? And is that enough now? Well, how are you going to acquire $1 million for retirement if you're trying to live now? And now maybe you're not done paying off your mortgage, or you maybe still have kids that are going to college. But for us millennials, we, including inflation, we are going to need closer to $5 million for retirement. And it depends on your lifestyle. Hopefully your homes are paid off, your kids are out of school, and you only have your spouse that you're going to enjoy retirement for. So we are going to need a larger amount of money to retire. And it's super important to go ahead and get started. And what I like to do is when I sit down with my clients, I let them know that we're going to create a good strategy for you. So what I like to do is I like to save their money in a place where they're going to have compound interest and have the most gains. Try to make them as much money as they can, and then just retire comfortably. So good question. So just to share, since Qierre asked about the 401k, guys, there's actually 3 places where you can save your money, 3 places where you can invest your money when it comes to retirement. One of them is what we know as a fixed account. A fixed account is going to let your money grow. It's going to be a little like what the banks offer. It's going to flatline. So your money is going to grow maybe at the most, maybe at a 0.3%, or it's actually, I don't want to scare you, but it's actually 0.03%, right? I know it's fairly low, but you have to consider inflation. Inflation is right now this year 2%. So Qierre, let me ask you, Wesley, if your money at the bank or in a fixed account is only growing at 0.03%, but inflation is 2%, then what's happening to your dollar in the long run?
It's decreasing value.
It's decreasing in value, right? That's why right now $1,000 is not what it used to be. Or the second option is a variable market. Variable market is anything like stocks and the economy, real estate, business, 401ks, 403bs, and 457s. That's in the variable market. Now we know that the market can fluctuate a lot quite often. It's not always going to be like 2008. So, I don't expect that to happen anytime soon. Qierre, he hates it when I say that because he's in real estate. So he says it's never going to happen. So let's just say that did come back, right? And all of your nest eggs is in that variable market. What's going to happen to that money for all these years that you've been saving? What's going to happen? Don't let yourself be one of those victims from 2008 that lost their money. And by the way, those individuals that did lose a lot of their money in 2008, just now, 10 years later, are recovering most of those funds. So it does take quite a long time. And then, of course, the last option is called something the index market or the index solution. The index is what offers compound interest. And if you guys have any further questions about that, then I can definitely sit down with you guys and explain how the index works. The index for me is one of my favorite solutions for retirement. I recommend that. It's safe, it's guaranteed. There is a floor and there is a cap, and that's where you're going to have your tax-free retirement, your income that you can collect as maybe another source of passive income. And you're not going to have to pay any taxes on that. So it completely protects all of your money. Anything, I tell my clients, every penny that you decide to put in here, you are always going to get back and even more. So good question.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we actually have a question from Yini. She said that she's actually setting up her 401k, and she actually asked, is there like a website where she can actually do some type of search and reviews for specific companies that are part of the 401k option she has?
Oh, sure. Of course, we can set that up. We can send her a text message or an email, getting her all that information for different, reviews. But most of the, what I would recommend, what is her name? Yini. What I recommend, Yini, is that you sit down with the provider of the company that is offering you that 401k. Because, and this is another thing, guys, when you're looking at reviews online for financial concepts, please don't go off of Google, don't go off of the internet, because then that just lets me know that you are trusting the internet instead of trusting a financial planner. And maybe you don't want to be, you don't want to get confused with some of the reviews out there. Some people are not, didn't get a degree or don't have their license and that, so they just go off based on their own experience. And sometimes they've been victims of the economy falling. So of course they're not going to have the best reviews. So I recommend that you sit down with an expert that is going to help you with that. Good question, Yini.
Yeah, so Yini, as Melissa said, sit down with an expert. And what I would recommend you to do, Yini, is actually sit down with Melissa. She's an expert. I trust her with my money, and nothing but good things have happened. And I definitely like the fact of Melissa's approach, because she breaks things down into layman's terms. Like, she's not throwing these huge, obnoxious words that you don't actually understand them. And she truly is passionate about what she does, and she's truly passionate about helping people. And like she said, she's really targeting the middle America. I mean, she's targeting the people, that may not have thousands of dollars where they can start to invest, in large sums. You were talking to me about a client that started an account with as little as $36 a month.
Right.
$36 a month. I don't know. My cell phone bill is over $100. $36 a month is not too bad. Or if you go to Starbucks every day, I would say you're probably paying close to $40 a week. So, getting started with like $36 a month is something, and you're able to set that up for someone.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing that, Qierre. Yeah, of course, a lot of the children accounts that I do open up, and keep in mind, guys, that imagine where you're at with your retirement solution or just in savings in general. For example, like I mentioned, my children, they have an account, and what I do is I save a very small percentage of money aside for them, but that money is growing with compound interest. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard this question as a child. I actually heard it when I was a young kid, but I didn't understand it until later when my parents asked if I would prefer a large amount of money or if I would prefer a penny that would double a day. And it's the same thing. If you start off very young, saving a small percentage, that money is going to keep growing. Every day it'll keep growing. Or you just have one large lump sum that might not grow as much, and eventually that penny is going to surpass that lump sum. So good question. Yeah. Take care.
Yeah, for sure. And Yini, I'll make sure to send your information to Melissa so she can actually reach out to you and set up an appointment where she can actually sit down with you and explain options for you. So I'll definitely do that.
Yes. Any other questions, Wesley?
So I know a lot of people have this question. What happens when you're working for Company A and you have a 401k with Company A, then you leave Company A, now you're going to Company B. What do you do with the 401k from Company A?
Good question. I love all these 401k questions. That's usually what a lot of the middle-class America has. So what happens is, first of all, it depends on how much you have in there, right? Sometimes it's not always recommended to cash out, or sometimes it is. It just depends on what your goal is. So, for example, let's say you leave Company A, you have X amount in your 401k, and they wouldn't recommend that you cash out. Another important solution or very good beneficial solution is also an annuity. Annuities are great for long-term savings. Sometimes I don't always recommend for that money to be rolled over to the next company, because you got to keep in mind that the 401k was meant, sorry if maybe some individuals get uncomfortable about this, but 401k was meant more as a tax trap for people to pay taxes later on when they retire. So I would say that if you like gambling or taking that risk, you can keep investing in a 401k, but we have to cover, before you do that, please sit down with somebody so that we can cover different solutions and strategies before you make that choice, before you roll over that money, because it's like the money's in the variable market. So why keep adding more of that money to the risk? Does that make sense? Or you can save it in an account where it's completely safe and guaranteed, and you eliminate those risks, and you have a lot of potential for growth. Good question, Wesley. Nice. So, guys, I'd like to share a couple fun facts with you guys that I just reviewed. I actually had an event that I went to with one of my CEOs, and she covered a lot of good statistics with you that I'm going to share. And like I mentioned earlier, 9 out of 10 individuals have never sat down with a planner. 70% of America lives from paycheck to paycheck. And that's a big no-no. So what is 70% of America? 70% of America is middle-class America, right? Who is not living from paycheck to paycheck? And that's usually the elite. Now, the elite usually have a financial planner. They're out of debt. There's 2 types of families here in the United States, which is family A, the person that makes about $100,000 or less, has a job, has a 401k, has credit card debt, and has never sat down with a financial planner. And most of the time, they probably rent a home. Family B is the family that has an income of over $250,000 a year, owns a home, has a financial planner, is not in debt, and they have the proper protection for their money. So if you're in family A, let's help you get to become part of family B. or at least create a strategy that's on the way for the following generation after you to be part of family B. I know me personally, I was in family A, and I'm proud to say that I'm in family B, but not just, it's important to be on that route, but not just for myself, but obviously, if this is what I do for a living, then I need to own up to it, right? I need to have my finances in order too. I need to sit down with my clients and then confidently explain to them how to protect their money, how to save their money. But guess who gets to see this all the time? My children. My children are now, so it's not just so much on the saving and the business concept, but it's the legacy that I'm creating with my family. The legacy of no families left behind, of course. And then the legacy of creating generational wealth. Just like real estate can create generational wealth, well, we have solutions that can create generational wealth too. This is more of like what Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Warren Buffett do. So I really recommend that you guys sit down with a financial planner to help you figure out how you can get an account that's going to have the compound interest. And remember, it's a great account. It's called an index account. Good question. Anything else before I go into more statistics?
One quick question. You mentioned the average rate of return for a 401k was 6%.
Yes.
What would you say is the average rate of return for the indexed account?
Oh, great question. So the average rate of return, and this is just an average, it can change as the market changes, it's 6%, right? The average compound interest that you can get on an index account for the past 20 years, it's been at 9.3%. So 9.3% is actually really good because what you are getting at the bank is nothing. You actually have to pay the bank to have a savings account. So your money growing at compound interest 9%, that's an awesome deal. Not a lot of people can have that. Not a lot of people do. When I come down, when I sit across the table with a client, they say, well, how come a lot of people don't have this account? How come I haven't seen this account? And I ask them, well, when was the last time you sat down with a planner? When was the last time your employer talked about this? And this is where the bank puts their money, and I just help the clients get from the bank to the financial institutions that are going to provide those type of accounts. There is a cap and there is a floor. The best thing is that your money, like I keep mentioning, it's safe, it's guaranteed, and it's never going to be at negative. So you're never going to be at risk to lose any money. And that's the ideal goal, that when you retire, you want to be able to put your wallet away, enjoy your passive income, and then have that financial wall against your finances or for your finances. So it doesn't matter what happens out in the economy, your finances can't be touched, and you can live comfortably. And then, of course, if you want to collect Social Security, that's fine. You can collect that too if there's going to be anything available for you. Here, he doesn't like that.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm definitely not counting on Social Security to take care of my family or anything. Like you said, that's just more of a backup, or that's just, oh yeah, I get Social Security. Great.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Right. Exactly.
And just to share with you guys, the baby boomers, like I mentioned, 70% of them have no retirement solution. No retirement strategy. So if you are in that category, it's super important to go ahead and get started as soon as possible. Don't let another day go by, because I know that we are thinking tomorrow every day, right? I mean, all the time for anything in our lives. By fitness, health, everything, or tomorrow, I'll start Monday. But no, a leader and a person that's responsible always starts today. So super important to go ahead and get started, even if it's just going to be a very small percentage of your income. I don't like to throw dollar figures out there. I like to go by percentages. Go ahead and get started as soon as you can. That at least is going to give you peace of mind that you have the right vehicle, or that you got started on something, because I'm sure you might not feel comfortable right now knowing that you're getting close to retirement and you don't have anything set up.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely.
Anything else?
Well, Hugo actually said, Melissa, can you help me with that information?
Oh, so, sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Hugo, hi, Hugo. I know exactly who you are. He's actually a friend. He's a very intelligent man, and he's actually an entrepreneur as well, too. I like his mindset. And yes, of course, I can. Actually, Hugo, I know he's joking around. He's one of my clients. He has a great solution. He actually has one of the best solutions that I have helped out. It took me quite a while to help him out with that solution. And luckily, I was able to help him out. But he does have a really good solution. He has a good solution with one of a company that's been around for over 100 years. Like I mentioned, I custom tailor all of the plans for my clients, and yeah, he has something very comfortable set up. And I know his goal is to retire at 45, and with that mindset that he has, he'll get there.
That's great.
There you go. And another thing that I want to cover, guys, that retirement has nothing to do with the age. I want you to keep that in mind. It has nothing to do with your age. Retirement has everything to do with the money you need for retirement, right? You want to get to that financial freedom. You want to get to where your money, your income, your passive income, any source of income is going to cover your expenses. So we are accustomed to believe that retirement is at 65 or 62. Do you guys know why that happened?
Social Security.
Because of Social Security. So if Social Security wasn't around at all, who's to say at what age you're supposed to retire?
I think people would just continue to retire.
Right.
I mean, continue to work until they physically or mentally can't do it anymore.
Right. And that's the thing. You don't want to leave it up to society. You want to leave it up to your will and up to your goals, what your lifestyle is going to be after that age. So me personally, I like to share this with some individuals. I am partly retired. I worked smart. I don't believe in working hard all the time, but I worked very smart. I created different strategies, and now what I like to do is my passion to help a lot of people get there as well. I want to have I have the capacity and the ability to help a lot of people get to their retirement solutions or situations a lot faster. Get that out of your head, guys. 65 is not the age of retirement. The age of retirement is when you decide that you want to retire. You can retire at 45. You can retire at 40. You can retire at 35. I am close to being 34 years old. 34 years old, and I'm partly retired. I work because I love what I do, and I love speaking with people, and I like helping a lot of people get there as well too. So yeah, keep that in mind. Find the sources. And, it's important to have passive income. You want to diversify your money. You don't want to keep all of your eggs in one basket, and diversify as much as you can. I know real estate is a good opportunity for you to have that passive income as well too. It's pretty safe, it's good, and I would recommend that as another source of passive income too. But keep in mind, guys, that don't make the mistake that a lot of people do. They have passive income, they have their income, their job, then they have passive income, and then they see that their passive income is covering their expenses, so they quit their job. So what happened? Passive income replaced your full-time job, but now it's not passive anymore. Now it's just another source of income, and then you have to try to find out another source of passive income, and that's how a lot of people start getting creative with different things, and they have different business running at the same time. They don't focus on one, and then they get super stressed out. So if you have a source of income and you have your job or your business or whatever, let that passive income keep coming in, and then just keep creating more passive income. Don't quit your job. As like we had this conversation earlier, when people have a job, they start coming up with multiple sources of passive income, but then they forget what the purpose of passive income is.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that you hit that retirement on point. The fact that retirement is not a set age. It's when you can financially, take care of yourself, still able to keep the lifestyle that you want. And then I love the fact that, because everyone, if you're on social media, everyone's always talking about what? Hustle 24/7, hashtag no days off, hashtag passive income, hashtag multiple sources of income. But the foundation is you have one full-time job, one career, one source of income that, like you said, pays for your living expenses, pays for your bills, and so forth. The passive income is just money that you should be collecting. You should just be collecting that money. You shouldn't be using that money to pay for your living expenses. That doesn't make any sense. Then, like you said, it's no longer passive income anymore. It's just a second source of income that's paying your expenses. And unfortunately, I've seen people, have had full-time jobs, great jobs. They started like a little side business. The side business starts to do well. All of a sudden, hey, I quit my full-time job. And all of a sudden, your side business is paying all your bills. So you're not collecting money. You're not building wealth or anything. You're just replace one full-time job with your second full-time job. And that's not what passive income is supposed to be. Passive income is just supposed to be money that constantly collects and builds.
Right.
So.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I totally agree with that. And then of course, coming from from the city that we grew up, the county that we grew up, there's always the rat race. Let's start working when we're young. Let's start saving money. Let's do it. Let's do. So you get in the habit of just working and barely getting by,
right?
And working from paycheck to paycheck, and it almost seems like if you're working from paycheck to paycheck and you're in debt, it's normal. It almost seems like that's normal, but it shouldn't have to be like that. When I come across a lot of different clients and they're not in debt, I'm very proud of that. And I like to say that, me personally, I'm not in debt. Everything that you buy, you should buy cash. If you cannot afford to buy it cash, you got to use a credit card, you got to use a loan, then you really can't afford it. And, be honest with yourself. The only thing you should be financing is is of course your home. Your home. I know for business owners, they like to lease vehicles, and that's that's awesome. That's really good. But even when it comes to my cars, I know what interest can be like. So if I can't afford that car, then I'm not going to buy it. So what I do is I only drive around something that I can buy cash, right? My husband and I got into that habit a while ago that we only buy our cars cash now because there is interest that you're going to have to pay. And that's just money that is going out of pocket for the financial company, that industry. And something that I like to share with you guys too is for any of you guys that have any credit cards or any debt out there, find out what the rule of 72 is, and you can sit down with me. We can explain it a little bit more. I know I covered it with Qierre, and he was blown away by it. So the rule of 72 was actually created by Albert Einstein. It's a formula that's either going to be your best friend or it's going to be your worst enemy. It depends on how you want to play with it. So you take the number 72 and you divide it by the interest rate, and it'll tell you the amount of years that money is going to grow. Either your finances are going to grow, your investment is going to grow, or your debt is going to grow. So it can be your best friend if your finances are growing, or your worst enemy if your debt is growing. So, let's just say that somebody is 29 years old, they have $10,000 in the bank, and the bank offers you 2%. Well, the doubling effect of that is going to be $20,000, but 36 years later. So $20,000, your money is growing at 2%. Do you guys know what the banks offer you to keep your money there?
0.001?
Yes, I covered it earlier. 0.03. So that's a long time for your money to grow, or that's why it's super important when you get a credit card debt that your interest rate is very low so that your debt doesn't grow as fast. And that's what a lot of people don't know, that the interest rate is very important when you want your money to grow. And that's why we offer the compound interest at 9.3%. Good.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and show this book to you guys. This is called The Tax-Free Retirement. I recommend you guys all get a copy. I'm going to leave this copy here with Qierre and Wesley. This is going to explain a little bit more about the solution that I like to offer, the solution that I specialize in, the index account, where your money is growing at a very high rate. Safe, guaranteed, comes with a lot of great, actually over 40 benefits, a lot of good information. I recommend you guys read this book, get a copy of it. This is going to cover everything that we shared here today. So remember, it's by Patrick Kelly, Tax-Free Retirement. I go over this with my clients. Super important. It'll tell you why some people don't plan, why they procrastinate. And remember, guys, there's a saying in the book that I love to use. A lot of people don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. So it's super important that you start planning as soon as possible. Go ahead and see Qierre for your real estate questions, and you can go ahead and see me for your financial planning questions. Anything else you'd like to add, Wesley, or any other questions you have for me? You're pretty quiet. I know you're not always this quiet in your videos because I follow you guys.
No, I'm just, you just get
Is this too much for you guys?
No.
But can you see the passion when I'm speaking about it? I'm like on fire about it all the time. My mind is always thinking like, who am I going to help out? Who am I going to sit down? People need to know this information. Otherwise, you're just going to be living from paycheck to paycheck. Yes, I am passionate because I love what I do, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Anything else?
Well, actually, Yini had a question. Another question.
Go ahead.
She said, if you set up a 401k and, obviously, heaven forbid you pass away or whatever, does that 401k automatically get placed to, your kids? or does it just disappear?
Okay, very good question. It's super important that you know this, Yini. So your 401k, you will have a beneficiary. It's super important. Actually, you might have to go to, okay guys, 401k is just like any other source of money that you have, like the bank or assets, properties, anything you have. You must have a will and trust. You should have that, a living will, super important. If you don't have a beneficiary for your 401k or any of your assets, your all of that is going to go through probate, through court. Now, I don't know about you guys, but after you pay your attorney fees, what you leave behind to your loved ones is going to be very little. Very little. So it's important that you get that set up now. I know that the accounts that I set up for my clients, I always ask them, give me at least 2 beneficiaries. The first one and a contingent one, please, because it's super important that the money that we're working to save for, that somebody gets to keep if you're not going to use. 401k, the same thing. Make sure that you have somebody that is going to look after that when you're no longer here. But whatever you do have in your 401k, if you pass under 65, that's all that they're going to have. And it might be 10, 15,000, and that's a small amount. That may just be able to cover your final expenses, which is important to talk about as well too. But you want to make sure that you leave a legacy behind for your loved ones. Don't just leave them with 10,000 or 15,000. When you pass away, people, 2 things are going to happen. You're going to leave your loved ones either with money or with debt. And what do you think they want to have?
Money.
They want to have money, right? You want to create that generational wealth. You don't want to leave any debt behind for anybody.
I do have one last question.
Go ahead.
So would you recommend foregoing the 401k with your employer and, basically investing what you're talking about, which is the index accounts, or kind of use the 401k as just another leg and take advantage of the fact that your employer is contributing as well?
Yes, that's great. I love what you just said, Wesley. That's exactly what you answered your own question. So what I like to do is when I sit down with my clients, I let them know first, let's create, of course, retirement has a lot to do with diversifying your source of income at that time. So what I would recommend is that you get your index account, your safe and guaranteed account, and as secondary, you play with that 401k. Just keep in mind that you're pretty much don't fully count on it, of course, but because that risk is there, but have it as another potential source. So a small percentage, play with it, but don't put all of your eggs in that one basket, of course. Good question. Qierre?
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, that's definitely good advice when it comes to 401k. Pretty much what you're putting in there, like you said, if your company matches up to 6%, then you put 6%. If they match 3%, you put 3%. So pretty much you just want to keep that conservative.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to the index, then that's when you actually create a specific strategy for the individual that you're speaking to. Because obviously every plan is not going to fit everyone.
Correct.
It all depends on the person's lifestyle, as well as their goals. Like you said with retirement, maybe like for instance, like your client Hugo, he wants to retire at 45. Right. Maybe some people are thinking maybe they want to retire at 65, or maybe financially they just can't retire that early. So you create a specific plan tailored to the individual, which is great. Because I'm sure a lot of people out there don't do that. It's kind of like, how old are you? Okay, you're 33. Okay, perfect. This is what we're gonna do for you. Okay, you're gonna invest in here, here, and here. Sign right here, and I'll get it started.
Yes. And by the way, Qierre, I love everything you covered, but I don't like that you use the word sign. Signs. I don't know if you guys know this, but in business, when you sit down with somebody, you're going to use the word sign. I say, can we get your approval, please?
That's the first I've ever heard of it. I use sign because when we go over contracts, it's like sign here, initial here. I use that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's a different industry, but yeah, I'd like to say, can you please approve your plan? Can you please verify that that this is exactly what you want? And I just need your signature. I'm sorry. I just need your approval, and I need your authorization on this one. Yeah, because I don't like to treat them like my clients sit down with me every year. So I want to sit down with them every year to review their accounts. It's not just a business deal that I did, right? We got to see how your money is growing every year. Where are you now? Have your goals changed? Are you making more money? Are you spending more? Do you want to save more? So everybody's goals change, and I hope they change. I hope you're not thinking like back when you were 17 years old when you first knew me. You're 34 now, you're going to be 44, you're going to be 54, goals are going to change. So yeah, very good question. And yeah, that's what I like to cover about the 401k and the index. Anything else, guys? Is this too much information for you guys for 1 hour? I think so, right? I think we need a whole day seminar for this. Yeah. And I know you had asked me something else earlier, or you were about to ask me another question, right?
Well, I guess I was going to ask you about the annuity thing, because, I'm sure a lot of people probably don't know what annuity is, so it kind of just went over their head when you mentioned that.
Okay, so annuities are a good source of a place or solution to protect your money. That's more of like when you have a larger amount that you're not going to touch right now. Annuities can be a little overwhelming, well, not overwhelming to explain, of course. So if you guys know of somebody that wants to get an annuity or that wants to save a large lump sum of money, I prefer to sit down with you one-on-one and we can fully explain that in detail, because it can get overwhelming. I know that today what we covered is probably, a little too much, but guys, keep saving, start saving if you haven't, protect your money, know where your money is. Don't count on Social Security, and then create that strategy of tax-free income. Taxes. I know Qierre and I were just talking about taxes a little bit ago, and we don't like them. It's tax season. Before, believe it or not, I was on that other side where I would get excited for tax season.
I was on that side too. I was like, yes, we get my refund.
I know where I'm going to spend it. I know what I'm going to do with it. That was me before, guys. That's the type of mindset I used to have. I used to feel like I was gonna have money because a few extra $1,000s were gonna come my way for a couple of months. But that's not the way it should be. If you're paying taxes, that's actually a good thing, because you're making money. You're part of Family B. You're not part of the middle class America that's getting by from paycheck to paycheck. You want to be in that category. Remember, it's always better to give than to receive. I know not in this situation, but if you have to pay taxes, you're doing something right, because your income is great. I've been paying taxes the past couple of years, and I don't complain about it, because at least I have the source of income that's coming my way to pay, to fall in that category. And I'm pretty proud of saying that too. What about you, Wesley? You pay taxes?
I do. I'm still not excited about it.
You just have to flip it.
Yeah,
you just have to flip it.
I know.
It's in the mindset. It's in the mindset.
For
but
sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's in the mindset. And for all of you guys that are getting your refund right now, please be very wise about what you're doing with your money. Don't act like you're rich from here until the summer. Get that money, invest it, save it, don't spend it. My clients know that when tax season comes around, they're going to get that call from me, and they're going to know, okay, Melissa's telling me to do something with that money. If you don't save it, you're going to spend it. And remember, there's something out there called buyer's remorse, when you make a big purchase and then tomorrow you regret it. You have, oh my God, why did I buy that expensive thing? But there's no such thing as saver's remorse. You're never going to regret saving.
Yes.
So it's always important to start saving. Yeah, if you haven't done it, go ahead and book an appointment with me. I'll be more than happy to give you a complimentary financial analysis. We'll go over your situation, what your goals are, and how we can help you get to retirement a lot sooner, and safe, of course. And your kids too. Yeah. Anything else?
Well, I believe that you just provided so much great information. I'm sure everyone that's been on this, that's been tuning in, I'm sure they're wowed and excited. Maybe some of them were scared.
Don't be scared, guys. Come and see me. Yeah, I'll sell you the dream on why you should be having a good solution, good solution or account.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously, if you guys have any questions, Melissa's information is going to be on this post here, and I'm going to save it so you guys can watch it as many times as you need to. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you, Melissa, for taking time out of your busy day to sit down with Wesley and I and discuss and share why it's so beneficial for people to save, and how there's a way to actually generate some tax-free income. Because I don't like paying taxes. I sure as heck do not want to be paying taxes when it comes to retirement age, right. So, yeah, I'm sure a lot of people got some great information here. And like I said, thank you guys out there for tuning in. This video will be saved. If you guys have any questions for Melissa, her information is there, or you can reach out to me, and I would be more than happy to refer you to Melissa, because Melissa is awesome. I've known her since, like I said, I was a kid. She's always been smart in class. So it's no surprise that she grew up to be a successful business person. So, yes. So have a great Friday. Have a great weekend. Do something fun, but don't spend too much money.
Yeah. Call me before you spend that money.
There you go. There you go. Make sure you get your taxes done because they are due next Tuesday, April 17th. So make sure to do that. And we will sign off with Wes's famous expression that we're going to start putting on T-shirts.
Yes. Be assertive, be proactive, and have a great weekend.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Bye.